Ride sharing. The future of transportation is the electric car, not wheelchairs.
Don't worry, Elon. HandyCar is just a small company.
Oh, sure, operating in a few small towns. But when they start...
South Park has once again turned its jokes toward Elon Musk. But this time, it's not just for laughs, but to systematically dismantle the public myth surrounding him. In the cartoon, Musk is portrayed not as a calm engineer or flawless visionary, but as an infantile showman addicted to applause and cheers from the crowd. The authors show that behind the outward glitz and fancy words often lies nervousness, a fear of losing control, and an inability to respond to competition without throwing tantrum. The storyline with the hype machine and the handcar race builds an image of a man who makes a show out of everything. His presentation of the new Tesla D is not a celebration of engineering, but a pompous show in which the word innovation sounds like a spell. But the creation of an illusion cannot withstand a simple question. The invention of a disabled child with HandyCar, a modest transportation app, destroys the entire theatrical facade. Musk in the cartoon reacts not as a wise competitor, but as a man threatened with the collapse of his self-esteem. He demonstrates not a calm business defense, but a sharp, almost hysterical aggression. These scenes are not just for laughs. They're a conscious satire on a model of behavior in which image is more important than results. South Park carefully collects familiar elements, loud announcements, bright covers, star interviews, and shocking phrases, and boils them down to one thing. No matter how many beautiful words there are, the real effect is tested by action. When a hero compares HandyCar to a snake and proposes radical measures, it is no longer a metaphor, but a panicked attempt to destroy a competitor, because competition is a risk of losing what matters most, the attention of the masses. The tour of the production facility in the series is a separate gem of satirical art. Musk lists his achievements with dignity: electric cars, solar panels, ambitious projects, while at the same time showing the absurd pizza pocket, as if grand plans to save the world suddenly turn into microwave trifles. This mini detail hits home. Noisy images and slogans often detach themselves from practical significance, turning into a set of shocking ideas for the sake of shock value. South Park's humor acts as a magnifying glass. It enlarges the weak points of a public image to comical proportions in order to show their vulnerability. When Musk organizes a friendly race in the series, its outward friendliness hides a plan of sabotage, legal intrigue, and a desire to crush a small competitor. This exaggeration serves not to denigrate the person, but to demonstrate how personal ambition can become more powerful than interest in the cause, how the desire to win at any cost supplants the desire to truly create. The themes of promises and procrastination run through the episode like a common thread. The answer to the question, "When will we fly to Mars?" sounds like the familiar excuse in 10 years, which is a joke in itself. After all, these deadlines are constantly shifting. South Park uses this situation to show public fatigue with repeated announcements that never lead to results. The satire here serves as a warning. A leader's charisma is no substitute for a transparent plan and concrete achievements. An interesting twist is the appearance in the plot of a young inventor who, in a short time, offers a practical energy solution. She is not seeking attention. Her invention is simple, understandable, and useful. This contrast is the main idea of the authors. Real benefit comes from quiet work, not from the podium. Musk reacts not constructively, but jealously. He begins to attack not the idea, but the person who has proven to be more effective. This is an apt observation of how often public attention focuses not on creation, but on those who know how to speak the loudest. The final mockery in the form of the phrase, "Go back to your little cars," acts like a blade that cuts through the foundation of the myth. And this is where the power of satire lies. It does not seek to destroy the personality, it removes the mask. After loud speeches and glossy promos, a simple question remains: what has really changed? South Park offers a harsh but honest answer. Sometimes the appearance of progress hides emptiness. At the same time, the show does not shy away from self-irony. The creators acknowledge that they themselves live in the media field and know the price of attention. But that is precisely why their attack sounds convincing. Not like envy, but like a warning. The episode urges viewers to be more attentive, to demand real results, and not to confuse spectacle with progress. The episode leaves a lasting impression and makes you think. Straight up, South Park didn't just mock a personality. It tackled the social context in which cults are born. In the second part of its attack, the series explores the mechanisms of media heroization, where every statement becomes news, every photo becomes a meme, and every failure dissolves into the next big announcement. The authors note that the apparatus of fame has long become an independent force. It feeds those who know how to feed it. Musk is the perfect subject in this sense because he is both the provider, news, investments, hype around technology, and the product. He himself has become a commodity that needs to be maintained and updated. South Park shows how easily a myth can grow into an ideology. Phrases like save humanity or colonize Mars work like spells. They instantly unite the crowd, create a sense of mission, and justify risky decisions. In the series, this is presented as a theatrical trick. The audience is not so much interested in the truth as in emotional involvement. In this respect, the criticism is not so much directed at Musk as a person, but at a culture that is willing to sacrifice critical thinking for the sake of spectacle. The authors also draw attention to the economic and legal consequences of such plots. When a company becomes more than a product, when its leader becomes a symbol, many things are permitted. Aggressive marketing moves, risky financial decisions, disregard for norms. In humorous scenes with court battles and high-profile lawsuits, South Park neatly shows how the glitz of presentations is followed by harsh realities, regulatory audits, compensation for damages, and a decline in investor confidence. The humor here is not just sarcasm, but a diagnostic tool. It identifies which elements of the system fail when image overtakes substance. It is also interesting how the series plays with the character's personal life as a public resource. In the show, Musk's personal scandals and romantic twists and turns are presented not as private drama, but as components of the brand. They fuel discussion and become fuel for memes. South Park shows that in modern culture, the line between private and public has been blurred, and this creates a dangerous dynamic. Every gesture, word, and photograph is immediately transformed into a signal. Investors read it as hope, colleagues as motivation, and opponents as a weapon. Another subtle theme is the relationship between technology and morality. In the episode where Musk sabotages a child with HandyCar, the authors ask the question, why do we create technology in the first place? For profit? For fame? For the sake of real improvement in people's lives? South Park consistently suggests choosing the latter option and shows that a grand promise loses its meaning if it is not accompanied by an ethical compass. The problem is not innovation itself, but the motivation of those who make decisions about its implementation. In addition, the series explores the phenomenon of time horizons, the habit of setting deadlines that are then constantly postponed. Moving the date of Mars colonization, postponing product releases, making ambitious predictions for years to come. All this creates the illusion of progress without facts. South Park ridicules this tactic because it contributes to the erosion of responsibility. Later becomes an acceptable excuse. In the future, a justification for today's compromises. The irony is that in a world waiting for real change, public trust is depreciating faster than stocks on the stock market. The aspect of collective self-deception is no less important. In the episode, the crowd reacts not to evidence, but to spectacle. Bright shop windows and convincing rhetoric can temporarily drown out doubts. South Park pushes the viewer to a simple but painful conclusion. If we ourselves are willing to believe in image more than data, we are directly contributing to the creation of a new religion, the religion of technology. And this religion is dangerous because it raises few questions about the fairness of the distribution of wealth, the social consequences of its implementation, and those who are left behind by progress. At the same time, the series does not declare technology to be the enemy. On the contrary, it emphasizes that technology is good when it works for people, not for the hype surrounding it. The appearance of a young inventor and simple, effective solutions is a reminder that true innovation does not need pomp and circumstance. It manifests itself in practical usefulness, accessibility, and how quickly it improves everyday life. South Park is not an enemy of science here, but its strict, sometimes harsh, but faithful critic. The second part of the satire also touches on the theme of a leader's responsibility to society. A leader who can speak beautifully but cannot show a clear plan and results harms not only himself, but the entire field. He diverts resources, creates false expectations, and leads to disappointment. In this sense, the series Attack is a challenge to all the heroes of the media age. Talk less, do more. Concrete actions carry more weight than a million likes on Twitter. In this sense, South Park acts as a mirror of society, and not just a mirror for laughter, but a tool that forces us to look critically at the reflection. And if you look closely, the episode with Musk is not just an expose of one person. It is an invitation to discuss how power works in the age of attention. Power is now measured not only by capital or technology patents, but also by the speed with which you can capture the mass consciousness. Not only by what you have done, but by how quickly you can sell your story. South Park shows that in such conditions, it is easy to confuse success with legend, and legend with real benefit. This is important not only for industry leaders, but also for consumers, for you and me. We influence the market not only through our purchases, but also through our attention. Likes, reposts, and discussions shape trends, and trends are the fuel for new announcements. When culture begins to reward loud promises more than accurate implementation, it encourages a game strategy of promise a lot, do little. The comedy performed by Trey Parker and Matt Stone reminds us that it is more profitable to become a loud legend than a quiet craftsman, and this destroys the very concept of progress. South Park's humor does not turn into propaganda. It remains satire, carefully seasoned with truth, but not frozen in dogma. The creators do not declare Musk an enemy of technological progress. They offer their own role, that of gatekeepers of public opinion. Their craft is to reveal the discrepancies between what is stated and what is real, between PR and practice. This approach is important. When criticism is presented wittily, it cuts through the information noise more easily and conveys the idea to those who might otherwise not hear it. Another important layer is the human one. Behind the grotesque and the hyperbole are real lives. Engineers, factory workers, investors, ordinary users. Those who pay for technological promises with their time, money, and expectations. South Park subtly reminds us that behind big projects, there are often small people whose lives are changed not by words, but by deeds. And if a company's strategy focuses on image, these people risk becoming mere statistics in future reports. Finally, the episode makes us think about the long-term consequences of hype culture. When trust erodes, social capital, that is, faith in institutions, companies, and leaders, is depleted. This is not just a psychological loss. It is an economic risk. Companies that live on hype risk being vulnerable to a wave of skepticism, and with them, the industries that actually do useful things. South Park neatly illustrates this mechanism. By mocking empty promises, the show protects public trust. It reminds us to ask about results, not the show. In summary, we can say that the satirical attack on Musk is not just entertainment. It is a social diagnosis read in the key symptoms of our era: the cult of personality, the fetishization of innovation, the politicization of technology, and the growing proportion of narrative overaction. And in this picture, South Park does an important job. It translates complex social processes into understandable, vivid scenes that hold your attention and make you think. To be continued. In the next part, we will look at how such satire influences public discourse, how standards of reporting and responsibility are changing, and what lessons both technology leaders and ordinary consumers should learn.